Hey guys, it's your humble host, or Kim if you prefer. So I'm back with another video, and I just came across a really interesting thread on KiwiFarms. I want to preface this with a few things. One, I am not sponsored in any way by KiwiFarms. I have no association with Joshua Moon. And yes, I do support the farms in general due to their either intentional or unintentional help in a lot of different situations. And as I've always said, when it comes to the farms, you're either going to be dealing with stupid Kiwis or smart Kiwis. It is always a mixed bag. But in general, I do support this website. I know there's controversies about doxing and what have you, but for me, I consider the farms to be a obscure form, how we say, background checks or police reports of many individuals online. And so there you go. Anyway, as I was looking at, yes, someone's thread, because I was curious as to what was going on. I do lurk on here from time to time. I came across one across the top. It was highlighted in red. Crucial danger situation. Now, for those of you who don't kind of know about the history of the farms, Joshua Moon has had quite a few lawsuits and other things come against him because his site documents many, many scrupulous and unsavory individuals, and certain individuals have tried to come and get information removed by court orders. He has had lawsuits from all over the globe, and so far he has come out victorious. This particular one, the reason why I'm reporting on this is because of what is read here, and I'm going to read it to you. Also put a link in the description for the thread for you guys to keep an eye on, because, trigger warning, this does have to do with pedophilia, and gist of it is he has a pedophile who is trying to get information removed from the site about him and his alleged employer, and I have just about had it with pedophiles being protected by various companies. You have Damon Mills, for example, being protected by Funimation, which is now dead and turned into Crunchyroll completely, and that entire industry. And we've seen this in many, many more areas of the media. So I want to go and show you what exactly is going on, and this is something to keep an eye on. And after we read this, I will explain to you why it is necessary for you guys, whether or not you guys like the farms or not, to be concerned if this individual who needs the wall is able to get this information pulled. You guys need to be paying attention. So this was put up Friday at 5:57 p.m. In March, I received contact from Upstream requesting deletion of content on our forum. The content is in regards to a known pedophile and his alleged employer. The employer is a very shady ISP that my Upstream does business with. Upstream claims I cannot see the court order despite being subject to it. That's a little weird. That is highly sus. And let me expand this. Section B, all statements and or posts pertaining to PATH or their officers and employees published by the user known as Rico Mark on KiwiFarms.net forum accessible at So, for those of you, when I first went to the thread, I wasn't sure if this was actually Zoom doing this or if this was Zoom helping another individual. For those of you who do not know who Zoom is, aka Ray Barnhill, for those of you who've been around the Kumite, Zoom very much went after Tonka Saw, and Zoom is the individual that called around to the various wrestling organizations trying to see whether or not Tonka had some sort of record. If that doesn't refresh your memory, Ray Barnhill was the guy who held up a sign, I believe in a shopping mall, calling Ethan Ralph a pedophile, and to where he was asked by, I believe, mall security to leave. So Zoom is around, and I'm going to put a link to his thread in the description below because it looks like Zoom is going after the threads. Now, the reason why Zoom is being labeled as a pedophile, because I've heard this audio and I nope the hell away from him. There's audio of Ray Barnhill and one of his past girlfriends confessing that they got off to CP. Look in his thread. And I didn't know this. I just knew Zoom was kind of a shithead, and I came across his thread, and I can't remember if I looked it up or if it was linked somewhere. Regardless, I heard the audio, and I just got the heck away from the user. I unsubscribed. Whatever, anything. If I was in the same group, whatever, I got the hell out. Zoom/Corey has claimed that this audio was a joke, that him and his girlfriend at the time were joking around. You don't joke about that shit. I'm sorry. Well, anyway, let's continue to read this. I took down the content within 24 hours of receiving this notice. I followed up with requests for more information about this court order. I informed Upstream that it could be forged. Neither Upstream nor the employer/complainant has replied with identifying information about this alleged court order, which is, again, highly sus, because I would want the case file, and I'm calling the clerk to see if this document is real. And that's the problem, because he doesn't really know which court this is coming from. He can't even follow up with it. Again, this is highly suspect. He refused to communicate with my attorney, who is an active member of the DC and federal bars. I believe this court order is fraudulent. I believe that the employer/complainant is acting on behalf of the pedophile. We may still be forced by Upstream to physically relocate our hardware elsewhere. I'm making arrangements for this. Now, I do want to put in here the slight note, just in case it's not Zoom, because it's being linked in Zoom's thread, who the employer is and whatnot. I have to assume that this is Zoom attacking KiwiFarms. So, if not, and if Zoom is helping said pedophile, that still is not good either way. So, we may still be forced by Upstream to physically relocate our hardware elsewhere. I'm making arrangements for this. We're working on changing our networking so nothing goes to the employer/complainee. I do not know why the website is currently unavailable. This is not an April Fool's joke. Ray Barnhill is allegedly the chief operating officer at Path.net. Path.net has attempted to remove information that he worked for them off the site. They are now trying to take our hard drives. Our providers have refused to do so without a court order. I'm coordinating with my attorney, and I will be securing representation in California. So for those of you who have never built a website, so when you go to launch a website and have it live, you do have to have a physical space to store like all the files, the graphics, the coding, how the website operates. So you still need a physical location for all of that stuff, so the live can feed off of that information. So from pretty much what he's describing, Josh Moon here, who is Null, he's saying that they're trying to get the physical source for the website in its entirety, and thankfully, it has not happened yet, and they won't hand it over without a court order. It's still very worrying, though. Again, we have a situation to where a pedophile is trying to attack a shitboard, and I'm not trying to insult these guys, but it's the shitboard, or shit-talking board, and that should concern all of you. The fact, because if this is successful, and these hard drives are seized or ordered to be handed over by the courts, that should scare the living crap out of you. Because not only do you have someone who has committed crimes against children attacking an anonymous board, and if it's successful, it's going to escalate. Again, we've seen protection of various pedophiles in the media, in the industry. Again, I bring up Damon Mills, who's the recent freaking clusterfuck of a controversy out of Funimation/Crunchyroll, simply because he's being protected and nobody wants to say anything because he's a minority group, or part of a minority group, allegedly. And after what they did to Vic Mignogna and a few others, they tried to do to Todd Haberkorn. So this is just an example all this stuff that is happening. So this is why I'm reporting on this, because again, everybody should be paying attention to this. Everybody who calls out creepers and pedophiles on the web and is paying attention to the Damon Mills situation and the Vic Mañana stuff, among other things, you need to be paying attention to this, because if this is successful, nobody is safe. Nobody in calling out pedophiles. We've seen Twitter protect pedophiles. Disney's doing it. I could go on. I could go on. This, pay attention to this, because they may not be important to you, the farms, but this is right now. We're kind of in a scary time of censorship, and the fact that this pedophile Zoom is being allowed to do this by the courts, and if successful, that's going to create a lot of other plethora of problems. So again, people, like, if you've been on Twitter, I got nuked about over a year ago, but people have been suspended, kicked off of Twitter for calling out pedophiles with the maps, people who go on there to groom. So this is something that everybody needs to be paying attention to, because if a shitboard can get attacked and taken down, yeah. So here's a little section he put. I'm sorry, my mouse is really fucking up. Stop it. Urgent legal demand for preservation of evidence, meaning you cannot delete anything. You have to leave everything untouched so they can run what's called discovery on it. I'm not a lawyer. I'm just taking what I saw from the Vic Mañana stuff, because preservation of evidence was called for Ron Toy's Twitter, many others, and it's called discovery. Well, they go and they look for evidence and they pull a bunch of stuff off of social media or physical, so that's what it's called. I'm no legal expert, so I'm not trying to be. Based on legal action and subpoenas which are imminent and forthcoming in the near future, and to prevent the destruction of evidence, demand is hereby made that you preserve the hard drives of Joshua Moon and 1776 Solutions LLC, and each of them, and pull out of the server and preserve their hard drives and their contents. Please confirm your receipt of this request and that you will be complying with it. Copying my law partner, Larry Hadley, on the CC line. Very truly yours, Michael Cypers. Takeaway for tonight. I am more confident in our upstream than ever. They have navigated this very bizarre situation as completely as one could hope. While there is a looming threat of path pursuing legal action, as of now, nothing has been filed. So he can't find anything, which is good, which makes that court document even more sus, and the fact that he's not able to see it. Because usually when you're served an order, and say take content down, you receive documentation of this. So again, I'm not a lawyer, but this is true for any type of court proceeding, is they physically serve you documentation, whether you're dealing with unemployment, that's my only experience when it comes to the court, 2 different employers, but I still received letters in the mail. I still received documentation. Hey, your employer's going after your benefits. Hey, your ex-employer is pushing back. So you're always going to get a physical copy of whatever the court is ordering, whether that's notification, whether that's preservation of evidence. You will always get served, or you should. Keep that in mind. Again, I'm not a lawyer. My experience with the court stuff only goes as far as unemployment on a personal level, and then other stuff I've seen and observed happen in other cases, from the Save James, from the Vic Mañana stuff. So I'm not an expert by any means, but I do know this to be a fact. You will always get physical documentation of the court order. And I know that you can go off into the weeds with the subject, with there being oral orders which are not put into writing and can't be appealed. So that's like way over there. But in general, you will always get physical documentation. So let's continue. I have deleted some sensitive information from my drives and review our data retention policies tomorrow morning. Don't do anything stupid. So this is actually, I don't think I've seen anything quite as serious as this when it comes to the farms, because as I said before, Noel or Josh Ramoon has had many lawsuits come against him and things like that, and he's always been victorious and dealing with them. But this is one to where they're now, and I'm not familiar with all the ins and outs of his previous lawsuits and people trying to get stuff removed, so I cannot say for sure if this is the very first time that people have tried to go after his physical drives for his website. Again, the reason why those are important, because when you launch a website, you have to have a physical feed as to where the website is pulling all the content from. Whether that's graphics, the coding, the banner, the what's called a table, for those of you who are familiar with HTML and XHTML or CSS. So all the information for a website has to be physically stored, and that's where the website launches from, with all that information live for users to interact with. So I don't know if this is the very first time those drives have been sought out by an individual, but the fact that we have a pedophile doing this, again, I can't stress this enough. People have been censored, have been booted from various platforms in real life for calling out pedophiles. And if you have somebody who is successful in going after a shit-talking board with thousands and thousands of users, anonymous users. Now think about it too, because, and I don't know how this website completely works, but think about if those drives were got. The users on here might be exposed. Now, some of you are thinking, well, that's a good thing because a lot of these guys are freaking shitheads. That's not a good thing. Like, I understand not everybody likes the farms. I get it. But a lot of people, not saying this is going to happen, I'm not a legal expert, but those physical drives, I imagine, do store all the information for all the users, down to the email address, IP locations. So this is not a good thing. Again, this should scare the living crap out of everybody, because if they get a hold of those drives, not only is all the data for the website, including how it's formatted, but all the data that's stored on the website, they're also possibly going to get all the users' information, and other users could be exposed. This is why I'm reporting on this. And I don't know how much of the user information may or may not be on those physical drives, but that's part of the information stored on the website, and that does get stored somewhere. So again, this is very important, and you guys do need to keep an eye on this. Because again, this is a shit-talking board. If they can take down a shit-talking board, a pedophile, imagine, because when other people see this, they go, oh, hey, this person did it, because I get called out and exposed. What can I do? We're in a scary age of censorship. So this is why, please keep an eye on this situation and pass this around. Again, I am not associated with Joshua Moon. I'm not being sponsored by the farms. I have no personal dealings with the farms, besides being mentioned here and there in some threads. But I'm doing this solely because I understand the ramifications if those drives are gotten. I'm not friends with any of the Kiwis. As far as I know one or two of them that I'm kind of on good terms with. They're long distance acquaintances or whatnot, or someone I talk to every once in a while. But yeah, I have no dog in this fight. I don't even have an account on here. I've refused to do so in the past, but as I said, this is very, very important and very much needs to be guarded and paid attention to. So it sounds like Joshua Moon is already kind of ahead of the situation, but at the same time, there's one more thing to read. I cannot stress this enough. I cannot freaking stress this enough. If you're wondering how to help, don't stress out. I just want everyone to be aware of this company and what they're up to. We may have more serious problems in the future. Now, do keep in mind that 8kun or 8chan was taken down for quite a while, and Code Monkeys, I think his Twitter got nuked. It is now 8kun. It took months to get 8kun back up and running, and it's not the same anymore. It's just not the same. 8chan, for those of you who don't kind of know where it came from, it used to originally be part of 4chan, and I'm not up to date with all my internet lore here, but 4chan, when it got sold, it very much got neutered, and a lot of people got pissed off from the censoring, so they went and they created 8chan. 8chan was a freaking monster. It actually had effects on conflicts around the world. Not bullshitting. The CIA, the FBI, many federal organizations wanted to shut that crap down, and they were successful for quite a few months until 8kun relaunched. I want to say again in 2021, 2020, but it took quite a while because they had to get all the data, they had to find a new company that would actually work with them and let them launch off of their service. So there's a bunch of stuff Code Monkeys had to do to get that website up and running again. It took, I want to say, about a year, possibly a little over to do. Again, I know not everybody's a fan of these freaking websites. And there's some stuff that I don't agree that goes on with them, but at the same time, I am thankful for them because it is an obscure way to keep track of stuff online. And I've actually have found certain information and certain things over the years that were either hidden on Google, whether they're about the elections, whether they're about certain individuals. So again, I understand why these websites exist. I understand the importance of them. And I'm not trying to get too deep with it, but you guys have to understand, like with example, the Vic Mañana stuff. There was so much that was documented, and because it got so big, I think they titled it the Weeb Wars, and that got split into 3 to 4 different threads where you had the lawsuit, Weeb Wars, you had another section of a thread, and so this is very much important. It keeps track of a lot of things that you can't find on people, and again, so let me read this last section here because I know this is a long video, but I kind of saw this and went, oh crap, this is not good. As of now, this was posted yesterday at 6:33 a.m. I have not put anyone on retainer, meaning he has not secured a lawyer yet. I still have not been directly contacted by Path. Thus, our data center is annoyed that Path is forcing them to be middlemen in a conflict they have no party to. I'm concerned about the threat and have made sure the customer data for the merchandise runs have been removed. Oh, okay, so that is actually a good thing. User emails shouldn't contain anything identifying everyone is still using alter ego email addresses and password managers, right? So that is something that Noah has stressed in the past, because I'm going to talk about the merchandise too. Is he said that the main emails when you go to sign up for KiwiFarms, do not use your email that you use for everyday things like resumes, or even if you have one that you just use in general all the time. He's pretty much telling people to make sure that they're using dummy emails just to create an email solely for the KiwiFarms account, just in case something like this happens. I'm not sure what a password manager is, so I do apologize. Now, as for the merchandise, because I actually did buy a Kiwi shirt. He had a small merchandise run 1 year ago, 2 years ago, and it was various shirts, and one of the shirt I got was a Kiwi, I think, dipping into a bowl of ramen. I have it in my closet. Unfortunately, the size I got was a little too small for me, so I can't wear it, but I still have it. So I'm glad that has been removed. Oh my word. Private messages self-destruct after 1 month. Good. Of inactivity, and you're not sending nudes over DM. You know, there's always those people that are dumb enough to do that, right? I'm still considering sending out a mass email. I would, since we can't use Path for DDoS filtering. Oh, that's another thing. So a lot of people, so when you have, because I'm trying to think of how to word this, there's been a couple of times where I've opened KiwiFarms to keep track of certain things, and the website just like crashes or is down. They've come under a lot of DDoS attacks, and for those of you who do not know what that is, I'm gonna see if I can try to explain it in the best way I understand it. Is when I want to say you send packets of information and you overload the server to where the server does not have enough process. I'm trying to think because I'm gonna sound really stupid here. Does not have enough data or enough room to process all the data that's overloading it, so it crashes, still trying to catch up. I believe I explained that accurately. It just pretty much in a nutshell, it overloads the server because there's too much information coming to it, and it doesn't have enough room or enough time to process it all in one go, so it crashes. So that is bad. They can't filter out their DDoS stuff anymore. And coincidentally, we started getting DDoSed a lot more after Path dropped us. I have to use another provider that I pay out of pocket for. It is going to be a lot of money, more than $1,000 a month. Ooh, that is, wow, that's some of my car bells. So using Brave and tipping BAT is still the easiest way to financially port the site. Brave, I don't know what tipping BAT is. Brave, I thought was another, oh my god, Internet Explorer or not operating system. Gosh dang it. The words, they're not there. In the future, we may have to fight orders that will cost money. If and when that happens, I will let you know. So, yeah, pretty much in a nutshell, this is kind of what's going on with KiwiFarms. I usually don't report with what's going on the farms in regards to the actual distress of the website that it's going through, but this should concern everybody because of what type of individual is going after the site. Again, call me stupid, call me hypocritical, I don't give a shit. I just know the ramifications. I understand the ramifications if the physical drives are gotten a hold of. Now, because there has not been a court order, again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal expert in any sort of means, but I know this much. Because there has not been a court order for the physical drives and they're not going to be handed over, because there is no court order, he's starting to remove stuff, which I know I read here earlier. Urgent legal demand for preservation of evidence based on legal action. Subpoenas are imminent, meaning they are going to happen soon. So it does not sound like he has received a subpoena. So for those of you who don't quite know what that is, I'm going to explain it in the best way I understand it. A subpoena is a court order for information, whether that's phone logs, whether that's text messages, whether that's data from a website. It could be a myriad of things. It could be physical evidence. So I'm explaining it not in lawyer legal terms because I don't have that knowledge or that footing. I'm explaining it in the way that I understand it and have come to understand it based on unemployment court case, because I've never gotten a subpoena, but you do have to submit evidence against your employer's claim, or your employer has to submit evidence against you, whether that's witness testimony, affidavit. So there's a little bit of that in there. So that's my experience, plus watching some other cases. So again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a legal expert, I'm not trying to be, I'm just explaining it in a way that makes sense and from the way I've come to understand it. So don't take it as 100% factual, look it up. I mean, if you guys are in Rakita Law server, go ask him, or if you're familiar with a paralegal or lawyer friend yourself, go ask them for a more clear definition. So that is my disclaimer. But because it sounds like he has not received subpoenas yet for this stuff, and has not received a subpoena, which are imminent and forthcoming in the near future, and to prevent destruction of evidence, demand is hereby made that you preserve. So I don't know if this is a legitimate order, and this would be a question for Rakita Law, or any legal person that you're familiar with and know whether or not Michael Cypress can actually order this, because again, this is not a subpoena. This is not, from my understanding, Noel has not said that this is, has not mentioned this is a request for discovery. So just from my interpretation, from my understanding of past events I've observed, Noel, in my opinion, Noel getting rid of certain stuff off the drives, he's legally within his rights because there is no court order for the physical drives. Now, because I want to point out something here, they are now trying to take our hard drives. Our providers have refused to do so without a court order. So again, this entire thing is sus. The fact that Zoom is involved is highly suspect. So again, if you have further questions and want, go ask Rakita Law or someone who is legally knowledgeable, who actually has a legal background or legal education and this sort of thing. So, but that is my takeaway. Noah's already removing information because he legally still has that right to do so, and from my understanding of this thread, he has not received any legitimate orders, whether it be subpoena, request for discovery, anything of that nature that says, give me the drives, don't delete anything. There is a demand. I don't think the demand is an actual order that would be upheld by the courts. Now, if I'm completely wrong, I apologize. Again, not a legal expert. Go run this up by Rakita Law. And actually, I kind of hope he covers this, because, or just kind of mentions it in passing. I know Rakita and Josh have talked in the past, and I don't know if they're still in contact. I don't know. But this would be something to bring to Rakita Law's attention, because again, this is a pedophile going after a shitboard for calling him out and exposing him. And because there's even more of a connection, because of the services Noel uses, Zoom is interfering with the runnings of KiwiFarms and trying to shut KiwiFarms up for documenting his shit, just from what I'm getting of this entire situation. So again, can't stress that enough. But as I said, I do hope that Rakita does learn of this. I'm not a cert in his server anymore. I wasn't chased. I just kind of left. I pulled back from a lot of different servers. So for those of you who are watching, who are still in his server, and if he has not been tagged on Twitter about this just yet, please go do so, because this is actually very important, and I'd love to hear his legal take on this to see what can or cannot be done. With that being said, I will see you guys here in the next one.